Is it going? There we go. All right, everybody, we are live for another week here at Wired Differently. I am Christina Hooper, your business designer. I have with me Victoria Caldwell, our fractional COO and people systems expert, and mindset Melanie Branch, our expert at neurodivergent mindsets for entrepreneurs. Today, we are going to be talking about what to do when your sales methods feel sleazy. I like this topic, right? Because we have a couple of different angles that kind of happen for why sales methods feel sleazy. One of them, and I'm going to cue up Melanie to dive into us on this topic, is when we have some imposter syndrome coming up, right? So we try to mimic what we see other people doing, even if it doesn't feel like us. And what does that do from like a mindset perspective for entrepreneurs, Melanie?
I know the biggest hurdle for my clients and the students at the academy is I feel like I'm posting about my offer too much. What if I make people mad and they don't want to follow me anymore? And it doesn't matter if you're a brand new entrepreneur or you've been doing this for 18 years. You're going to have people in your regular everyday life that aren't going to want to see you post about your business all the time. That's not who you're posting for. You're posting so that every person that's watching you thinking about hiring you for your wonderful, amazing services because they know that you can transform their life are waiting for you to post. So when you start to think about, why me, or am I doing this too much or anything like that, don't think about yourself. Think about your community that you're serving.
Ooh, I like that one. That's so good. And I mean, we know I talk about all the time, like we can't mimic what other people are doing and expect that it's going to work for us for so many reasons, right? Their businesses, their life experiences, their target clients, their products and services, their particular level of charisma, personality is not going to be equal to yours.
Yeah.
Right. And we also don't know what's going on behind the scenes of their business, right? The thing that we're watching that we assume must be successful because of so-and-so's name could be some experiment that they cooked up. Right? They're testing something. They have no idea if it's going to work or not. And they're going to do that a lot, especially when you're looking at bigger entrepreneurs that have more budget and that have more team, right? They're going to be constantly testing things because they have the
and don't assume because they're bigger than you that they're doing better than you. I have a client right now that's in her 2-week makeover accelerator, and she had this big creator that we both really, really like. We're both in the health and wellness industry. This big creator, hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, you know how hard that is to achieve. And that person had reached out to her, asking her questions about her services, and then asked if she could get them for free. What? My client was like, what is even happening? I said, don't assume because they have a big following that people are buying from them. A lot of people build their following before they create their new offer, or, these people aren't aligned. Some people pay for followers, for crying out loud. So don't assume just because they have hundreds of thousands of followers that they have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on you.
I would argue that most of the digital creators who just create, they're stars like you, Melanie. They're naturals at building those followers, but they don't know how to monetize them.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of
how to monetize them themselves. So followers is not a good metric to assume that is translating into money at all.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's not. Most of the ones I've dealt with, even if they had it, they're not leveraging that following to the peak, that it could be. Let me get a hold of them. But most of them just don't. But anyway, go ahead, continue.
Well, and even if you're looking at things like view counts and stuff like that, you don't know if they ran ads, if they ran boosts to that post, right? They could have thrown 10, 50, 20, 40, $50 at something. And now all of a sudden it's got several 100,000 views. And you're like, why did that video? And you're trying to duplicate it thinking that they got, all these organic views, but they didn't. They paid to play, right? So we can't just watch what other people are doing and assume that we know what's going on anyway. And we can't mimic what other people are doing. We can learn and we can integrate different things that might work for us, right? We can try some stuff out. But I'm going to tell you right now, if something feels super icky to you and it's not a mindset gremlin, right? And you have to learn how to tell the difference between the mindset gremlins and something that is truly like icky and against your values. If it's against your values, if it doesn't sit right with you, like I can't do pushy sales tactics. And that is maybe a little mindset gremlin because I've watched like on these big creators, they host these big events and like selling $2,000 courses. And I'll see people like one that stuck with me. This has probably been 4 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. This lady was like, I just bought it. I don't even know how I'm going to afford Christmas. I just lost my job. This is like 4 weeks before Christmas. She's like, I've got, I'm a single mom with 2 little kids. I just lost my job. I don't even know how I'm going to afford Christmas. I hope that this is going to help me make the money I need to make. And it's like, oh my God, not in just a few weeks. No, it's not. You're not going to afford Christmas with this. I don't like the odds are not in your favor. Yeah, like that sat with me so hard. And it was like right then I decided like, I'm not going to do these really pushy sales tactics. I'm going to be upfront about like, this is the time it's probably going to take you. This is the investment it's going to take you. If you're holding out hope that you'll have these amazing results in just a few weeks, please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't. Is it possible for certain people? Sure. But the stars have to be aligning in such a perfect way with all the things in their business right, all the things in their marketing right, and we just pull this one little lever and everything just clicks in. Occasionally, sure.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, no. Most things you're going to try, and I'll just put this out there to all of the entrepreneurial community. Most things you're going to try are going to take at least 90 days. At least 90 days.
And that's and that's just really to get everything moving.
Yeah. I mean, that's like if you already had like all of your back end systems put into place, your business is ready to scale, you truly just need to sell it. You just need to get it in front of people and get them to buy it. Everything else is golden. You've got an email list, you've got money for ads, you've got whatever. 90 days, you can make some work.
Yeah.
Right. That's with all of those things right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most other tactics that you're going to plug into your business, you're looking at needing to execute that tactic for a consistent 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is no tactic that's going to just jump in and save you. There is no secret sales strategy. There is no secret marketing. If there was, would people still have so much trouble marketing and doing sales? If there was this magic thing out there that if everybody bought it, you were closing deals in 90 days, like hands down every time, do you think we wouldn't have all heard about it by now? You know what I mean? Like, there's not a magic. So let's just put that out there right now. No matter what you try, at least 90 days, more likely 6 months. Okay.
And no one shares what doesn't work until they found something that does work. So when people are in the thick of it and going through and trying, we tried a live launch. We tried a wait list. We tried a PLF launch. We did this. They don't tell you what failed until they're using it as their story of transformation to get you to buy the new thing that supposedly is going to work. So, especially with social media, don't compare your lowest moments to somebody else's highlight reels.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and don't even think about, like, imagine all of the people that didn't even make it to a highlight reel. We never heard about what failed because they never found the thing that succeeded.
Yeah.
The only ones we hear about are the cream of the crop. We're talking like what, 10%, the top 10% of entrepreneurs, maybe less. That actually make it to success and then share their stories. Because like a huge number of businesses, entrepreneurs go under in the first year, then another big chunk within the first 5 years, another big chunk within the first 10. There's a lot of them that never made it to the success story.
And some of the launches are because there's a cash infusion needed. Sometimes they're out there pushing because they need money.
Yeah.
So you just really, and getting to like the people side of things, it's like some people are going to be naturals. It's going to be easy for them to sell and they love it. It lights them up. It's their flow.
Yeah.
Just like you have your own flow. For the rest of us, we might have to do something a little different, which is also why I love PLF lunches, because it allows you to, I'm all into education. So when you shift that mindset to educating, taking care of this person, whether or not they buy from you or not, you're just guiding them. You're the guide and you educate them. That alone sells. That's when I would get that's the only way I sell, because I'm not attached to the sale. I'm attached to making sure you have the proper information you need to make a informed decision. And one of my first clients, he told me years ago, he said, all right. And all of they're just like, let's do it. Right. And I'm not even trying to sell most of this time. I'm never actually really trying to sell. And he said, you know what? You're a great salesperson because I don't feel sold. And I was like, that was because I wasn't trying to sell you. And so one of the things I love about like PLF launches is because you give so much value up front. It takes all of the traditional psychological marketing tactics, strategies, whatever, and it builds it into a method that feels good because you provided so much value that even if they don't buy from you, they're in a much better position than they were before, that they feel like, wow, I've gotten so much value out of this. Now, if you want to take it further, it's going to require us to work together at a deeper level. And then you offer them something. But for those, whatever, you've given them so much value that no one feels sleazy doing it. Matter of fact, the biggest challenge with us when we're doing these launches with clients and stuff is getting them to not overshare.
Yeah.
To not do too much, because if you do too much, it doesn't help them, because either you're going to do one or two things. They're going to get like, oh, well, this is too much, I'm not going to do it. Or because now they don't have your help, or you give them so much information that they don't need your help.
Yeah.
They think they don't need your help. And so there's that delicate balance in getting them to a really good position. And at the same time, making sure you make sure that if they're really going to implement this right, there's a whole lot more to learn that's going to require a deeper interaction.
Yeah.
So, but no one comes away feeling sleazy ever. That's the problem with it. It's like, how much I've shared so much, or,
I know,
but
like,
they actually help more. Go ahead.
PLF launches is one of the ways that you provide value up front, but I know what a PLF launch is, but for our listeners, can you just kind of briefly, it's a type of knowledge funnel, but what makes it a little different from like webinars, workshops, challenges, other funnels people might be used to?
What makes it different is the fact that you spend about a week, and it's a particular, like you talk about the transformation, you talk about the opportunities, you talk about the how-tos at a high level, but you're really highlighting all of the things, talking about like it targets in the marketing message and the education our most subconscious things that hold us back. So one is going to be the person's disbelief in you because they don't really know you. So first of all, they're not going to really get they're like, I don't know. So you cover that in the first one. And then the second message you cover, they don't really get into maybe they're not really in tune with your framework or something. So you really get into that and you give them some value and, maybe a little small quick win. But on the last one, this is the biggest one. And any good marketing program will tell you that our biggest challenge is our disbelief in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's a subconscious. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's subconscious, but that one is the hardest one to overcome because they'll look at you and they'll say, hey, you can do it. And yeah, it might have worked, but will it work for me? And I don't care which guru or whatever marketing one, they will tell you that this is the one that is the hardest to overcome. And the way it's done in all of them is done by giving value, but it's structured in a particular way that it covers each and every one of those, some subconscious mindset gremlins that most people are not even conscious that they're having. And it allows you to give the value up front so you don't feel sleazy, and you take time, you answer questions. It's an event. Yeah. It's like not like one webinar. It's like an event. You're getting questions that allows you to come back and address the objections and the questions that people actually have. Instead of you trying to figure it out, you say, wait a minute, I noticed that I'm getting a lot of this. And the way you prepare for it is you get those questions up front. So you target, the whole thing is target around your customer, and you're really nurturing them from before you even start the launch. You're building it around them versus around what you have to sell. And even you might not change what you have to sell, but you might have to change how you talk about it based on what they are articulating as the problem. And that's what a lot of us have to do as entrepreneurs, because we know what it solves, but we have to meet them where they are versus having them come and having us trying to say, okay, you need this, is great. And it might be great, but you have to meet them where they are in their mindset to say, okay, this is the challenge you're having. This is why you need to do this. And using the words and the messaging that they're using to describe it, it's really so customer focused, and it's really built. It really works for people who are very heart-centered.
Yeah.
Because they don't
probably like
easy with it. The whole community is a community of people who are just givers and heart-centered people. And that's what they love about it, because they're like, yeah, I'm doing good work even in the free stuff. And it takes about 2 weeks to go through this whole process.
Yeah, I was about to say that's the biggest thing I think is different. So like when we're talking about like webinars, workshops that people can kind of feel a little sleazy on, right? You get people on this call and you've got like 60 minutes, 90 minutes to push them from like learning about you through all the things you just talked about. Why me? Why now? Why you? Why all these things in 60 to 90 minutes with a little bit of a Q&A, and now you have to push for a sale. So one of the ways PLF helps to provide value and take the sleaze factor down is it actually slows it down. It makes a longer funnel where it drops people out more frequently throughout the funnel, because you're sending people through a series of steps before the live, right? So it's like, here's some videos, here's some landing pages, here's some emails, here's some stuff to indoctrinate you. And at each one of those steps, people fall off, right? People say like, yeah, I'm in, cool, or I'm out. And you put 2 or 3 steps so that by the time you're actually sitting live with people, you have a pretty committed group of people, and you've provided a ton of value and a ton of education. So one of the easiest ways to take the sleaze out and provide value to me is to slow down, right? We slow down just a little. We quit pushing as hard and we educate more. That way, when the people do raise their hand and say yes, they're more likely to be a good fit, right? We want to filter bad fits out. People that we don't want to help, that we can't help, or that we're not the best option for, we need to filter them away into other resources. Now, you can still capture some money on those resources. It can be affiliate links. It could be recommendations, referral partners, things along those lines. You can still capture some revenue while saying no, but you still have to say no more than you say yes. Especially
and another thing is, it's another tip is if somebody says no, you can survey them and say, okay, I noticed that you didn't take us off. Like, was there something missing? You can ask them why they didn't buy. And you can also ask the ones that did buy, because that's good for your marketing copy and, stuff to leverage in the future. But perhaps there is a blind spot if you see a lot of people not joining because maybe there is something that was missing that wasn't communicated. It allows you to see whether that person is a good fit. You just had a blind spot, and it allows you to improve each launch, because again, we're coming from a place of service. So if there's some part of the market that they are a good fit and we missed it somehow, then it allows us to go back and say, oh, we didn't think about this option. How can we be more? And as you do it over and over, it snowballs. So the slowing down works good. There's comments in the chat, there's questions in the chat, and it allows you more time to really dedicate to serving them.
Well, and I think a lot of times, especially for, old school marketers like me and you, we think about webinars, workshops, funnels, lead magnets. These are all these traditional ways to provide value up front. I'm going to tee up Melanie for a second, though, because she does something that I think a lot of people don't really think about the right way. She actually uses her social media and her lives on TikTok to provide a crap ton of value up front in her marketing, right? So the things you're doing to actually market, not just your lead gen, you're providing a crap ton of value and building a community that you protect, right? So can you speak to kind of how you do your lives and stuff a little bit?
I believe that all marketing as a service-based business owner is just relationship building. And in fact, I've only ever had one person sign up for my one-on-one coaching program that I did not know ahead of time. She had somehow gotten on my email list. She wasn't on my radar. She wasn't on my social media. And I sent out an email and she was like, oh, hey, I'm booking a call. And I was like, oh, I don't even know who you are. But every other person I've ever worked with, I had a relationship with, because of what I do on social media. So when I'm live on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, we're talking about a pretty specific topic, but whatever comes in that I need to get out to people, because I am a crazy psychic, intuitive, and energy healer, business mindset coach, and get messages that people need to hear. I'm in there and I'm sharing with people and I'm saying, here's what I get. Here's what we're working on. What are you working on? And if somebody comes in there and they start talking shit, I kick them out. I block them. You're not allowed to come into my space and ruin the energy for anybody, because everybody who comes into my live who knows me knows that they're going to get a big energy boost. They're going to leave there more motivated than when they showed up. They're going to have switched and transformed their mindset about something, because everybody comes in being real hard on themselves.
Yeah.
And everybody leaves going, oh, wait, I really did a lot of work. Let me celebrate a little bit. So when I'm in there, I'm asking people, what's up? How are you doing? What are you working on? Last time I saw you, you said you were doing this. How did it go? It's the same thing that you get if you're a student at the academy or you're one of my clients, because I can just see the potential in people and can see their highest timeline. And I want to do everything I can to get you there.
Well, I mean, that
So,
is,
I mean, you know the vibe when you come into one of my lives.
Yeah.
What?
Like, that one thing you just said, it's the same thing you're going to experience at the academy and my one-on-one sessions, except that is crucial. We're not providing value in a way that's not similar to how we run our stuff, right? They get a taste. They get to experience, and they start to raise the question in their mind, if the free stuff is this good,
Exactly.
how good is the paid, right?
And
They
that's
talk themselves into buying. Like when I was in Melanie's audience, so I got to experience it firsthand. And when I was ready to hire Melanie, I just came to her and said, I need to give you money for something, and I don't even know which of your things I need to buy. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, had no idea. I've come into her life since then, and I've cleaned up her website and things. So it's a lot easier to figure out what you can buy. But I didn't, her stuff on what to buy, like what programs to give her money for to get me the result, wasn't super clear back then. And I was just like, take money from me and change my life, please. Right. Without all of the people are always so much like, I need to improve my funnels. I need to improve my landing pages. I need to improve my messaging. Her stuff was not very good back then. And I still went, take my money, please. Just take it from me. Right. So it's like, if we're out here delivering value, if we're out here giving people a taste of what they're going to experience, all of the other stuff is kind of almost not as important. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, you don't have to.
You know what? You touched on something. Authenticity.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. Melanie is 100% Melanie. Right? Yeah. You know, that authenticity is like, because if what you're talking about, the other marketers, they try to tell you to do stuff. This was my big problem too when I started. Everybody, it worked for them. Yeah. But it felt sleazy to me because it wasn't authentic. It wasn't that it was sleazy. It was sleazy to me because it wasn't authentic to me. It wasn't the way, but they'll say, do this, do this, do this, and then shame you for not doing it the way they say do it. But the way they say do it, like if I try to do stuff the way Melanie does it, I'm going to fail because it's not authentically me. I can't try to be Melanie. I can't try to be Christina. I can be Victoria authentically, and whoever comes. And that was my biggest thing. Like, I can't do this. And they're like, oh, you don't want the results. And I'm like, I don't want the inauthentic. No, I don't want inauthentic results.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the clients that you get when you do stuff that's not you isn't great either. Right. Because it's like you attract people you don't want, different expectations, with different values, with different, like, they need to hear you, right? You follow somebody else's script for how to do a good sales call. It's not going to work the same way for you if those tactics don't feel good to you. Exactly. Like, I would rather talk to somebody. Now, on the flip side, I will say, and I'm going to let's pop up another question here, aligning your sales approach with your values, because that's kind of what we're talking about. On the flip side, you can give away too much, right? And this is something that I'm super guilty of, because I get real excited when I'm talking to people. And like, I have talked myself out of so many projects, because somebody will come to me, like back when I was doing websites all the time, and they'll be like, hey, I want a website. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me ask you some questions. And I figure out that their whole business is broken. And I'm giving them all these ideas and inspiring them. And I don't get the website project because now I've like consulted with them on their entire business model and they have to go rebuild their whole business model.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that as a service I was selling back in the day, right? I didn't know I was a business designer. I didn't know that's what I was doing. So I was giving away a ton of value, ton of consultation, ton of coaching for completely free and losing out on the website projects because it'd take them 6 months to go try and figure out how to solve all the things I pointed out.
Right.
So, I mean, like, pay attention
That's
to
exactly
that.
what I was talking about with PLF. That's the problem. It's not the other sleazy thing. It's like, when do you stop giving so much to where you would talk them out of what they need, which is you?
Yeah. Well, and I didn't have a product to sell them back then, which
case.
is the really cool thing. Sometimes you might actually end up inventing products because you're overselling or you're over delivering without selling anything, right? Which is what I was doing. Yeah. That's where I got like so frustrated after years of this happening. I'm like, this keeps happening to me where I keep talking myself out of work, but I'm helping them and I'm doing something valuable. And that thing has got to be worth money, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is called. And so I went to ChatGPT a couple of years ago and I was like talking through the whole situation. I'm like, I just got off a call with a client. I'm like, this cannot keep happening to me. And I was explaining everything that happened. And it's like, you're doing business design consulting. I'm like, I'm doing what? I'm doing what again? Right. So sometimes we over deliver by doing the thing that we sell up front for free. Sometimes we over deliver by doing something we don't even know that we should sell up front for free. So pay attention to if those kind of things are happening in your sales process and your sales approach as well, because like, it's okay to lead with value. It's not okay to give it all away without asking for compensation.
Yeah.
Like, especially when we're talking about like one-on-one sales calls, right? Like that's where we get in a lot of trouble. If you're putting content out in the world, if you're doing webinars, workshops, PLF launches, blog articles, social media, going live, cool. That's one thing. But when we're sitting one-on-one and you're giving away a free like 90-minute coaching session when you tried to schedule a 20-minute like discovery call, now we have a problem. Yeah. That's when we're delivering too much value.
Yeah. And I did that recently. Yeah. I wasn't torn up about it because I knew that at the level that I performed that service, it was out of their reach, but I gave them the thing and they were like, oh, thank you so much for the information. We're going to go and try to do it on our own, which which was totally fine because I know that the results I'm able to get come from something completely different. They can get the results with that. Like you said, with a book, you can get the results with a book. You can get the results with that, but they might fall a little bit short because they don't have the stuff that I bring, but I make sure that I make that clear.
Yeah.
I make that clear because you brought up some of the things. You're just like, you're doing this in a way that probably most people don't do it. And I'm like, yeah, probably. But it's not that they can't get any results from it. They will. It's proven. It's really good. I would rather you go try it on your own and then say, you know what? I'm not able to do what you did. Come back later. And then I can say, okay, this is what we'll do. By that time, you've already started the process and I don't have to start from scratch, right?
Yeah. My litmus test is, have I moved you along your journey, right? Because we know my big thing is everybody's on a journey. As an entrepreneur, we enter their world with the goal of helping them move along that journey faster, easier, more successfully. So my litmus test for everything that I do is this going to move them forward? Even a little bit. Right. Like we know I break everybody down into 5 levels, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I could move somebody from like 1 to 1.1, right, I've done my job, whether that's a piece of content that they watched on social media, an email, coming to this live show. This is one of the ways we provide a lot of value up front and let people get to know us and get to experience, what the academy would be like or working with us one-on-one would be like. We should be moving people forward. If you're putting something out into the world that does not move someone forward, or you don't know how it moves someone forward, that's when we need to go back and kind of rethink what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's when it comes to a one-on-one sales call,
getting people from 0 to 1, which is a big jump.
Yeah.
And then working with us gets you from 1 to 100.
Yeah.
That's the difference. 0 to 1 is the free stuff, which is a major, because 0 to 1 is a major jump. Like you said, 1 to 1.1, even that is like, oh, but 1 to 100, now it's like, oh, that's worth paying some real money for.
I learned that when it comes to a one-on-one sales call, I should not be the one talking. I'm the one, because you have the power. Whoever's asking the questions has the power. And if you have a 20-minute to 30-minute consultation, you probably, that's what mine is, right? It's like 20 or 30 minutes. I'm going to move you through a series of questions so I can figure out if I can help you and I'm the right person. If you are struggle focused or desire focused, and hopefully if I've done my marketing right, you're desire focused and you're ready to transform, which is a big thing too when it comes to sales. You're not sleazy if you're not, don't target the people who are in the thick of it. Don't target the people who are identifying with their problems. Target the people that go, I know I need someone to move me through this bullshit, and it's just their responsibility to figure out who the right person is.
And they're willing
right?
to
That makes it easier. Get them in there. How long have you been dealing with this problem? What is your goal outcome of this problem? If everything worked out perfectly in your favor and you got everything that you wanted, what does your life and business look like in 1 year from now? That if you ask those questions and you get the answers, you can figure out if you're the right person for them, and you can convert them easily because you can take them where they want to go. But it also is going to help you because I see people and I look at their stuff and I go, okay, well, it's a social media problem. What they think it is, though, is they think they don't have the right systems or funnels, right? So if I'm sitting here saying, I can help you fix these problems, and those aren't the problems that they think need fixing, I'm not going to convert them.
No.
Yeah, I like
that. Even if they are, you're not going to convert them.
Yeah, that helps you with the over delivering too, because that was one of the things, like, I talked about, like, I tend to give a lot of value when I'm on a call with somebody. When I started shifting it so that I was doing like 3/4 of it was them talking and 1/4 was me talking, I'm also less likely to go ahead and give away like free coaching, free consultation advice right there on the call. I always give something, right? I'm going to give you some book recommendations, some course recommendations. I'm going to answer some questions about what was really blocking you. You're going to leave with ahas no matter what, but it's fewer ahas if I let you do most of the talking, which is, it's really it's what you need to do anyway, right? They've been stalking you. They've been learning about you. They've been following you. They've done the research into you. You have no idea who they are. Yep. You've got a lot of catching up to do. They need to do more talking. They've heard about you. Yep. If you've been doing your marketing and providing value and doing stuff, they've heard about you. They've heard about your stuff. They come with their own opinions, questions, thoughts, and you have to let them voice them and speak to those.
Yeah, those are good points.
We're kind of talking about these right now, like ethical sales techniques that convert. So I'll put that question up on the screen. One. Go for it.
I have one. This just happened. One of my clients who graduated from my Entrepreneur Glow Up program recently, but we still chit chat because we're in love. Don't tell anyone. She messaged me the other day and she goes, I just had the worst sales call experience with a coach. And I just want to thank you so much for having such great energy from the moment that we met and every single call that we ever got together for. And I said, what happened? She said, well, I joined this Facebook group for this woman on it's marketing or whatever the hell it is. And the funnel makes you, like, she says, book a sales call, book a free call. And so she didn't really find anything out about me. As soon as I entered the group, this was the thing that I was shuttled into. So, okay, I went and I did it. And she was rude on the sales call and didn't really ask me that much and was basically just like, okay, are you ready to buy my $5,000 package? And I said, that person has a marketing funnel problem because she did not spend any time building a relationship with you and getting you familiar with what your goals are and you familiar with the fact that she can get you there. And can you imagine how frustrated that woman must be that every single person that she's funneling into that sales call doesn't know that they have to, like, they're not ready to buy from her. They just found your Facebook group. Why are you trying to get them in a call so fast? So think about it ethically. Don't cold DM people. I just had to fight somebody off my Instagram earlier this morning too, who's telling me that my Instagram doesn't have enough engagement. And all I ever say to these people is I have 220,000 followers on TikTok. I know how to grow a social media. This is not my focus. I can either block you or you can stop messaging me, right? Think about how you want to be treated and then act that way.
Yes.
Yeah. And you have to understand your funnels too. And I think this is sometimes where marketers kind of do a disservice to our clients. We know what we're doing. We build things. I say I'm a recovering marketer, no longer a marketer, not a marketer. Don't identify as a marketer. But back in like the marketing days, we know what to do, right? So a client comes to us and it's like, this is what I'm trying to sell. This is how I want to sell it. This is what I'm trying. We build a funnel that's worked for a bunch of other clients. We assume this is going to work. The client has no idea what we did. They have no idea what their client went through to get to them. We said, your phone's going to ring. People are going to book on your calendar. Get excited. Go convert them. And then we blame them when they can't close those calls. And be like, we booked 100 appointments for you this month. You only closed 2? What's wrong with you? What are you doing? It's got to be a problem in the sales process. But like you just pointed out, it was a problem in the marketing process, or that the person that is answering those calls had no idea what somebody went through before they got here. It wasn't communicated, right? Like that sales funnel could still work if the person on the sales call knew what happened and approached it differently. Right. So I think that's, if you're hiring out, it's one thing if you're building your funnels yourself, you designed it, you know what's happening. If you are hiring a marketer or anybody else to go build funnels for you, make sure you understand them. Go through them yourself. Test them out. Right.
And know what's going on. So many clients don't want, I just want you to do it. I learned that hard way too. If you don't want to be involved because I need your input, then because they're just letting, I trust you, just do it. No, you don't need to trust me because I'm not going to do anything unethical, but I need to know how to position you the best way for you to serve them in the best way. And I need you to do that. And if you don't want to be involved in this process, then this may be the reason you're having the problem. Like this is part of the problem. This is not, you just throw it at somebody else and expect someone else to do it. There is for anybody who is authentic and who have ethical practices, this would not be okay. Now you're wondering why you keep getting scammed, because only the scammers are going to go for this. They're like, what? You don't want to be involved? I can do whatever I want and charge you for it?
Yeah. Well, and there's some people who think that's great. Like, I don't have to fight with the client. I don't have to argue with the client. I can just, you pay me money. I'll go poof. I hand you this thing. You're happy. Cool. And we don't know the fallout. Right. So there's a lot of marketers that think we're doing a really good job because the clients were really happy. But because we weren't paying attention after the fact, like I'm guilty. I've launched lots of funnels for people that I wasn't doing marketing retainer work for. Right. So without the retainer on the back end, my job was not to pay attention after it launched. My job was to launch it.
Yeah.
Whatever fell apart after that, I wasn't around for sometimes. So I didn't know until I would like follow up and check in with clients months later that they weren't closing the sales calls and they turned the funnel off. And I'm like, well, why did you do that? Why didn't it work? What's happening? So it's like, if I would have done that follow up, I never would have known.
Yeah.
And some simple tweaks can change all of it. Sometimes it was just helping them understand what the funnel actually was. Like, well, here's what happened before they got on the call with you. Like what Melanie was saying, like, they just joined the Facebook group. They just found it. They just got here. Now you're trying to shove a $5,000 thing down their throat that they have no idea what it is or why they need it. There was no prime the pump happening on any of that. So, if you didn't know that coming into the call, that's their experience, you're going to run that call like, hey, are you ready? Are you in? Versus if you knew that, you might be like, hi, welcome to the group. Do you have any questions? Is there anything I can, tell me a little bit about you? And then that could have been moved into a $5,000 sale right there on the call. Just knowing where they came from, right? It changes your sales process. So you really have to think about where someone came from. And if you don't know, that's your first question on a call.
Yeah.
What brought you here today? Oh, well, I just joined your Facebook group and it kept putting all these things up telling me to book a call. So I don't know what this is all about, but I did. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Let me explain a little bit about our group. Right. If you just start with that question, so you can pick up that continuity of their experience, because everything else in your world, they don't. It's your responsibility as their guide to lead them through your world.
Right. Sound like my rant on leaders and hiring people. Like, what did you do to actually give them all the information? You know, because they come in like, I don't know what you were doing before and all of this stuff. I'm new here.
That kind of leads into this other question that we had on how you can use storytelling to make your sales process feel a little bit more genuine, right? Because I mean, that's part of it, right? We have to understand their story and pick up and explain where their story can go. A lot of times when we think about storytelling, we think about telling our story, sharing our experiences. But sometimes it's really important to understand their story, their experiences, where they came from, where they're at now, and where they're trying to go, right? That's their narrative. If we can step into their narrative and help them fill in the gaps on how they're going to make that journey successfully, it helps a lot. So don't just practice storytelling your story, practice storytelling theirs.
Yeah.
And that can make a huge difference. Now, I know another way we can do storytelling. I'm going to cue Melanie up for this one because you do this really well. You share a lot of sound bites and examples from your own life to help people understand what's going on in their brains. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. You know, it was when I was in 3rd grade, Mrs. Nelson, my teacher, was up at the board and she was writing down the verb and the predicate and the noun and the adverb and all this shit. And I remember just looking, going, what are you talking about? And then she would give the example sentence and say, here's the adverb, here's the predicate, here's a noun. And I go, oh, okay, I understand what you're saying now. Thank you so much. So the value of an example is you just can't quantify it, especially when it comes to a neurodivergent person, right? And I didn't find out I was dyslexic and dyscalculic until like these past couple of years, which really, really changed the game for me. But now when I do like a longer form video on TikTok, I'm going to use the hook that's a question because everybody wants to tell you their opinion about everything. Always open. If you want a video to do well, open it with a question. Ask the question. Then tell them what you're going to tell them. Give them, this is what we're going to talk about mindset today. And it's going to be this, this, and this. Then give them the example so they know what the hell you're talking about, right? So it was this interaction I had with a client. It was an interaction I had with my husband, whatever it is. I'm going to tell you a lot about my life. Not everything, but a lot, which is also why I don't have a lot of in real life friends because they know that they're going to be shared about on the internet. Most of the time I don't reveal names. But if you really think about it as what's going to make this land, what's going to make them identify and resonate with this, that's the story. That's what you got to give them. So they can go, oh, I didn't even realize that. I mean, that's half the reason why women are finding out that they're neurodivergent, ADHD, and autistic later in life is because everybody got on social media and started sharing their experiences and going, wait, I do that too. Is that, oh, now I have something to explore, right? So give them an example so they know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put
your business partners that well that you can cue her up and she leads with a story on how to use storytelling.
Well, exactly, because I'm about to type this into the chat. So you said open with a question, tell them what you're going to tell them, give them an example, and then.
Yeah, and that's the framework that I teach you.
Give them a call to action. Say, always a call to action. Say, follow for more neurodivergent entrepreneur support or whatever your tagline is. Or say, tell me what you think in the comments. You have to tell people when we're scrolling, we are escaping our life. We are just trying to be entertained and get our dopamine hit without having to do too much for it. So you have to tell people what to do throughout your video to get them to take the proper actions. So start with a question, explain what you're going to explain, give them the story so that they understand what you're talking about, and then always a call to action. Follow for more, go grab my free thing, la, 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 whatever it is, but you have to tell them at the end what to do.
Yeah, I always call it,
and they appreciate it.
It gets it out of people's head a little bit easier. People struggle so much to create stories, right? It's something because like in the moment where the story is coming up, there was a trigger that made you think about it. But when we're just sitting here being like, where's my story with no trigger? It's hard. It's hard to pull your stories out, right? We teach this at the Academy. I've got some prompts for pulling some of your transformation stories out. I've got some examples. I do it in the Blueprint workshop. So I have some things, but like Melanie said, the simple formula is topic or question, right? What are we talking about? Or a question related to the topic, but you have to know your topic. You have something you're trying to teach them, right? The steps, the 3 things you need to know, the list of whatever. You have the thing you're trying to teach. Then you give an example, right? That example can be a story, or if you can't think of a story, literally create an example. Go to ChatGPT, say, this is what I'm trying to teach somebody. Can you give me an example that I can share with them, or something along those lines? ChatGPT can't pull your stories out of your brain, but it can create examples. Right. And that example may pull a story up for you, right? So that's one way to kind of back in to getting some stories out of your brain, is just to think of examples, and always CTAs. Like, what all CTAs we got? We've got follow me, subscribe, comment.
Leave a comment. DM me with a question.
Send this to a friend who needs to hear it. That's a good one.
Page. Yeah, share, send it to a friend. Those are all good ones. If you're on like Instagram or TikTok, you do link in bio, and you don't usually say link in bio because these platforms don't want you sending clients off platform. So you'll usually say the place with the links, or you'll point at where they get to the thing. You say in the usual place, things like that. If you can actually drop links, then a lot of times what people are doing is putting the link in the first comment and saying, like, check out the comment, check out the pinned comment, check out the first comment, putting the link there, because then the post isn't taking people off platform. The comment is, so the post doesn't, in theory, get punished. I have opinions. I think it does still a little bit, but some platforms you can drop links. Cool. I think those are the main ones.
The thing is to try different methods.
Yeah, and mix them up, right? You want to do all of them, because if every single video is
call to action, not 15. If you want them to comment and tell them what to comment, or tell them to ask something. Make the comment. Make it easy for people. Don't make them think.
Yeah.
Just don't make them. Yeah. Like if you tell them to comment certain things, yes, that's going to be good. But if you want them to comment something that's going to, like, have you had this experience? Tell me about it, or something like that, or something. You can guide them through it, because it gives you, and sometimes you get to tell them to DM you with, questions. You got to use that one carefully.
Yeah.
Because
starting to penalize some of that even now too, or you can get blown up with a bunch of DMs, or like,
you have to be ready to deal with all of those, and it might help in some ways, but you got to be careful with that. But the point of this whole thing is they need a call to action.
Well, and you can set up, automations and stuff like that. Like High Level could run some automations based on the word. That's why people say to DM a very specific word.
Yeah.
Because that's what the automations pick up on, is that word, and they'll respond back. Now, again, anytime you're using automations, or you're having somebody else build something for you, you need to understand what's happening from the user's perspective, the person going through the funnel. So I love automations.
What are their steps?
Yeah, I love automations. I love delegating things. But if you start getting a flood of DMs and you weren't paying attention to what your marketer did, what post went out that day, and you have no idea what people are talking about, you need to just keep your pulse on, keep a pulse on what's happening in your business and do stuff. Let's see. What is one of our next questions? I like the storytelling one. Again, stories are just examples. It's just examples. Yeah. They're really easy. How do we build trust with potential clients during the sales process? And I know, like, to recap some of the things we've already said, right? Examples and stories so they get to know who you are. Asking questions up front, so that people can, you can learn about them. Nobody feels like, if you're making a recommendation and you don't have enough information to make a recommendation yet, that's going to erode trust, right? I know that you don't know enough about me to be able to answer my questions yet. And if you're not asking questions, jumping straight to a sales pitch, so asking questions is one. Leading with value, leading with information, leading with knowledge up front. Like, hey, my mission is to help you.
Yeah.
And being truthful and honest. And if that is not your mission, if you were just out to make a bunch of money and your mission is not to help people, it's going to come through.
Yeah.
It's going to come through. Yeah. That's why you see so many people saying, turn your passion into, your profits and blah. Because if you don't care about the actual humans and the transformation you're creating, it's going to show up. Nobody wants to hire somebody that doesn't care about them. right?
That's where the sleazy sales tactics come in, because they can make it sound so good, but they're not.
You have to share your own life too
at that point, because they know they can do it. They're just like, it's an ego. They're ego driven by the fact that they can sell so good, but they're not helping you.
Or we've seen this.
I was in the DMs
before. I know exactly what you need, and we forget to actually involve the person in the process, right? Like, I've seen this exact situation before. You've said these 3 things, and most people say these next 7 things. So I know this is where this conversation's heading. So let me just jump straight there. But the client needs to, or the lead at that point, that needs to participate in the discovery process. They don't know the other 7 things that you already know. They still need to say them to you.
Yeah, that's why it's, even when you're teaching, you have to.
And you have to share about your own self too, right? I had a lead in my DMs yesterday. She answered poll on my Instagram stories. Very valuable feature, everybody. Use your Instagram stories, use your polls, use engagement in their Instagram stories. All of your potential clients are sitting there watching every single one of your stories. So if you're trying to sign more people, look there first. But she answered a poll, and it was just a simple poll. And I answered something kind of funny back, and I saw that she was in Washington State. And I went, I just got off a call with my client who's in Seattle. Are you near Seattle? And she said, oh, I'm an hour or so away. And I said, oh my God. She was raving about y'all's weather right now, and I'm stuck inside in 105-degree heat in Jacksonville, Florida, ruining the fact that I can't just go for a walk. And she was like, oh yeah, it is really great. La 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 la. Right then and there, we have connected on weather. We have connected on the fact that I have a client that's just like her out there. We have connected on the fact that I give a shit about what's going on with her, and I want to know more. And I didn't dive right into, how long have you been in business? What is your business? Da 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 la 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 la. Because I know that she has been watching my stories. Now she's engaging. So let's build that relationship more. This is the start of the sales call. Like, what are you working on? What are your goals? And we talked. We were DMing for an hour. And then I said, we could talk about that. And she goes, yeah, I do need your help. When can we talk? And that's when I said, here's the Zoom link. Does this time work for you? Not when she started answering my poll on my Instagram story.
That's a writer downer that just summarized pretty much our whole call so far. Yeah. That's the start of the sales call.
Yeah.
The Instagram stories, the social media was the start of the sales call. That's exactly what we've been talking about. Your marketing, the stuff you're putting out into the world, everything that you put out, that's the start.
And we know if it's done right, it does 90% of the selling, 95% of the selling for you.
Yeah.
At that point, they should be so convinced they need you, just like Melanie did with you. You didn't even know what you needed from her. She had to buy. You just knew you needed her. And I've done that with coaches too. I was just like, you know what? You're the one to help me.
Yeah.
What's your feet? Because I fired so many coaches for trying to make me little minions. I had one conversation with her, and I knew she was the one. I said, you're the one. You're the one. Tell me what we need to do to get started. What does this look like? And then I had to figure out whether it was going to work, but I knew she was the one. Yeah. She didn't try to sell me a thing. We were at a party having a good time. We just had a conversation. And marketing is supposed to good marketing will make the sales process seamless. It'll just render it. Like building trust matter of fact, that should be your goal anyway.
Yeah.
If you focus on that, building trust, giving that value, really being there to support them, that money is coming.
Yeah. And most of the time when I found that people are like, I'm really struggling with sales, it had nothing to do with their sales ability. Most of the time didn't even have anything to do with their marketing. Most of the time it had to do with their actual business. They didn't like what they were selling. They didn't believe in it. It wasn't actually getting the value for clients that they hoped it would, right? Somebody said this happened to me back in the day. Like I was selling websites and HubSpot, was like trolling web developers back in the day, long time ago, and being like, you can make more money, recurring revenue with marketing. You should become a marketer, not just a web developer, because a marketer gets recurring revenue. And you need a faster, fastest package. And this is what most people are doing. And you go look at these like HubSpot Diamond Partner agencies and you clone exactly what they're doing. So I have these packages I'm selling because everybody told me I should. This is what people need. Other people are making tons of money with it, getting lots of value for clients. So let me do it.
Right.
And I had never sold these things before. I had never been a marketer before. I had never done most of the things that I'm selling, but like I'm supposed to sell them. So here we go. And go figure, I had trouble selling it.
And people know when you're not confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you think you look like, they can feel it.
Yeah. And I mean, people try and hide it. And I know I did. Like, let's just pretend like I know what I'm doing. So let's just fake it till we make it. Right. We've heard that a bunch. For me, like especially in the ethical side of it, it makes a lot more sense to say, I don't know. I haven't done this before, or I haven't done it this way before. But here's what I'm doing to de-risk this for you. Right? Like the first time I did my blueprint as a cohort workshop, for example, one of the things that, I told everybody is like, I have taught this before. I've taught it at the academy before. What I have not done is taught it in a group environment like this. And I'm not entirely sure that this structured group environment is going to be right for everybody. So what I'm doing to de-risk it is I guarantee that I will meet with you one-on-one and get this done if that's what is needed. Right. But I was clear. This is a test. We're trying something out.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to work. I expect it to take this many weeks, but I am prepared to take longer if that's what we need. Right. So like being honest and letting people know. Some people are like, yeah, cool. I'm in. I'll try this out with you. Yeah. I'm going to get a discount to do this thing.
Some people love being the OG.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they get to help create the product.
Trust, you can do that, right? Like you need the trust to do that. Like trust that I'm gonna make you whole, no matter what it takes. But if you want to come on this ride for me, you're gonna get a good discount. You're gonna get the value, and I get to test something out.
Right? Complete authenticity and transparency.
Yeah.
And the right people are on, and that's who you want, right? You don't want the people who would be very rigid, expecting a polished product, et cetera, when you're testing stuff out. That's just going to, like, even if you can manage to get past the sales process and get people bought on something you don't believe in, you're going to have a bunch of people that don't have the right expectations for being there, right? They're expecting, like, if I'd have done that for that cohort, they're expecting polish. They're expecting structure. They're expecting that I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly how long it's going to take, that I can answer every question, solve we're ready to go, right? Their expectations are up here on something that I'm just testing. We need the expectations to be down here in playfulness, in playground, in feedback. And you also get better input, right? Like somebody who's thinking that I've done this 100 times before and it's polished isn't thinking I need feedback. Somebody who came along as an OG understands I need feedback. So like the people who are coming every single week are dropping things in the community chat to let me know how it's going. They're giving me that information that I need to improve my marketing, to improve my sales, and to improve my product.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't be in misalignment with your product. It's probably one of the biggest things that you can do to build trust is to be honest with where you're at in this launch, in launching this product, bringing it out into the world, delivering it. If somebody's like, have you ever worked for somebody like me before? And you haven't, say no. But here's what I've got that's relevant, or what I'm willing to do to de-risk it. Like, no, but that's why I want to have a lengthy one-on-one call with you before we even get started. So if we decide to move forward, we're going to block out a day together, and I want to get to know more about blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, just be honest. Like the best way to build trust is to not lie.
And when you say being honest, like the whole thing is being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about, you were selling because they said this is what the very first launch I did, we did a ton of money, but it was our vision, not hers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while we did a lot of money, she went through the launch, and it was because she was in creation mode. It was fun. After that, she let the product. It was a great product. She just wasn't attached to it. And she let it go. She let it go because it wasn't authentic to what she wanted. It was what, I mean, this was my first launch. It was what we saw as the potential, but it didn't matter because it wasn't her baby. It was her baby, but it wasn't her vision. It wasn't her passion. And that's a learning lesson. We made a ton of money on it, but she couldn't sustain it because it wasn't here for her. She didn't really own it in that process. So after she got bored, she wasn't attached to the mission she was doing. And it was like, wow, okay. I won't do another launch like that, you know?
Yeah.
Because
that's the thing as an
are,
entrepreneur. I mean, your whole business has got to be around you, especially while you're small, right? There's a point where you shift from the business being built around you to the business being inspired by your vision, right? But you're not in the day-to-day. There's a point when that happens. But if you're still at that point where your reputation could tank the business, your reputation can build it. Right. If you went out there, if you were to go out there today and do something stupid and newsworthy and if that would hurt your business, that means you also have the power to go out there and do good and help your business.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind too. Like the business is built around you. If you're still in that stage where if you did something detrimental, it would hurt the business. That means you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to enjoy the clients you're doing it for. You have to be getting the results. You have to be getting fulfillment from your business until it gets big enough that you can start stepping back and you can get that fulfillment somewhere else.
That's what I've had to learn. Now I know how to kick people back to a business designer because before I launch, I'm like, is this the business that you love? And it's one thing that I'm not able to do the stuff that I love, but I love the business versus I hate my business. If you hate your business, why would we maximize more of what you hate? How is that going to help you? But sometimes you got to bring it back and say, okay, and you need to go to a business designer. Maybe you need to structure some things and we can come and we'll maximize that, but not this. You don't want this. But it's different when you love the business and you just like, I love my business. I'm just not able to do more of what I love anymore. Then we can work with that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There we go. We're at time.
We did it. Woo! Another episode successfully produced. Now, I know we have talked about a lot of stuff and a lot of tactics, so I'm going to go for the bigger pitch to join the Neuro-Spicy Academy. We have a lot of free resources there. There's lots of stuff that you can get completely for free, including our No More Shiny Objects workshop and more free resources to come. But I really would recommend that you get in on the paid tier. Because you get to spend time with the three of us. And the strategies that we've taught here today are not quick fixes, right? We have talked about a lot of really important stuff in sales, in business structure, in marketing, in messaging, in tactics, in storytelling. Like we hit on so many big topics in this show, more than what we normally do. And all of these things, if you have the support, if you have the resources, if you have access to the mentors that can guide you, because this is touching everything. Right? Like we touched on business design, we touched on marketing, we touched on delegation and people systems, we touched on mindset issues. Even if it's not a mindset issue, you have to be clear that it's not a mindset issue. It's a strategy that's out of alignment with you, right? You need mentors to guide you on this kind of stuff. You just do, right? And that's not just me being selfish because I'm one of the mentors and I'm partnered with two amazing ones. You need guidance when you're doing this kind of stuff. If you don't have it, it's going to be harder. It's going to be slower and it's not going to work as well. Right. So head over to neurospicyacademy.com, join, pick my brain, pick these lovely ladies' brains, and let's help you get where you're trying to go faster, easier, and more successfully. And we'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Bye.